Welcome to Reality is Undefeated. I'm Ant Gatewood. Thank you for tuning in. It's been a minute, so let's just get right to it. Obviously, one of the biggest stories coming out of my city right now is the story about these 10 teens or 15 teens, as originally reported, that jumped a kid outside of the high school. And unfortunately, that kid ended up passing away days later. If you are familiar with my channel, if you have been subscribed for quite some time, you know that this particular incident is something that would closely affect me. Because about 6 months ago, I did a video titled, "The Most Important Thing Parents Need to Pay Attention to When Dealing with Teens." And in that video, I spoke about an incident that my son, who was 13 at the time of the incident, was involved in that's very similar to this incident. Fortunately for my son and the teens he was hanging with, that person wasn't injured to an extent that called for serious charges to be brought against them, although lesser charges was put forth. And my son was given the option to go through an alternative program that was able to get the charges dropped and keep him out of a courtroom. My son is also fortunate to have a no-nonsense father who has a lot of experiences in life and was able to guide him through that situation and away from that crowd. Not everyone, as we can see, is that fortunate. This is a very unfortunate and sad situation that just did not have to happen, should not have happened. And I feel for the parents and I'm upset for the parents of that young man. What happened to him triggered the same emotions, the same rage I felt when my daughter was the victim of an unprovoked attack at school. It's something too many parents of young people have to deal with, and I can only imagine the deep hurt, the deep pain that they're dealing with, especially knowing that there's video. Knowing that that's how your child died, beaten and left for dead, and no one came to his aid. And it was nothing he could do about it, nothing you could do about it. But if you know me, then you also know that I feel for this 13-year-old. I'm upset about this 13-year-old suspect being charged with murder, and I'm hopeful that this person is not recertified as an adult. I feel for him and all the other 13-year-olds in this country who are blindly following the lead of an older person that they're influenced by. Someone they see something in, who obviously don't give a fuck about them, who do not care for their well-being, don't care for their future, especially the ones who don't have a father at home, who don't have someone at home who can guide them through this situation. Young people following the leads of other young people who are themselves misguided by the culture, misguided by society, misguided by someone in their life that they look up to who ain't about shit. Truly the blind leading the blind. These are 8th graders and freshmen in high school, following the leads of seniors and big homies in their neighborhoods that they look at as being those dudes, feeling privileged to be at the table with them, to be in the in crowd with them. They were led down the wrong path. And while they undoubtedly played a role in why this young man's life was prematurely taken away, and they deserve to and will face consequences for their involvement, I feel for them because they too are victims. Now, before you start jumping in the comments and telling me I'm this and that, understand who I am and what I've been talking about on this channel. I have too many videos on my channel speaking to incidents and scenarios like this. I'm the one with the video saying, warning to all young men, one bad decision can ruin your life. I'm the one who went on a rant saying, stop lying to our youth. Y'all were more concerned with the profanity that I used. I said pulling up and shooting into a home is a cowardly act. Y'all said it's just gangster. I said accept the smallest L. Understand when you've lost. That way you can accept that and it doesn't snowball into something bigger. I spoke against the gangs. I've given all the advice I could. Parenting, books to read, career paths. You name it, I've said it on this channel. A couple hundred videos aimed mostly at helping young black men navigate through life. Using my experience to teach and help prevent them from making the same mistakes that I made. I've been on the front lines of this fight. We are at a crossroads where we have to decide what an adult is. We have to draw a clear line between what an adult is and a child is. Or we have to admit that childhood is just an American concept, a false concept at that. Like, why is there a juvenile system? In the state of Nevada, the only 13-year-old adult is a murder suspect. I'm going to say that again because I know that flew over a lot of heads. In the state of Nevada, the only 13-year-old adult is a murder suspect. That's the only way you can circumvent the process of actually living another 5 years and becoming an adult. That's it. You have to be 16 years old, take a course, and log a number of hours on the road before you can get a driver's license. And even then, you're restricted on the hours you can drive and who you can have in your vehicle. 16 years old to give sexual consent. 16 years old to work in most jobs that's suitable for a teenager. And if you're working on a strip, you're going to need a non-gaming license, a work permit, and your parents have to consent to that permit. And you're still restricted on the hours of day that you can work. 18 years old to live on your own without your parents' or a judge's consent. 18 years old to join the military. 18 years old to buy tobacco. 21 to buy alcohol. 21 to buy a firearm. 21 to gamble or work in the gaming industry. 21 to work most professions. Why is it that we understand that a 13, 14, or 15-year-old isn't an adult in every other situation except one? There is something extremely wrong with recertifying people under 16 as adults. To me, that says the real adults are being passive and lazy. It's like a teacher who passes along a failing child rather than create ways to reach that child, unlock that potential, get around that learning disability. Just pass them along to get them out of our hair. We'd rather throw a person away than confront the realities of why they're in that situation. We'd rather throw them away than put in the work or utilize the resources to reform their behavior and put them down a correct, productive path in life. You know, back when I had very few subscribers, or very, very few, because I still have very few today, I'm talking less than 100. I did a short asking people at what age did they feel grown, because I wanted to gather some information about a topic that I wanted to record about. What I expected was a bunch of people to feel the same way I did and feel like they were rushed into adulthood. Of the 4 responses I received, only one was what I expected. The others offered perspectives I hadn't considered. Their answers, 25, 29, and early 30s. These were adults who didn't feel like they were grown until they were well into their adulthoods. Now I know y'all have never even made the tiniest mistake in life. You followed every rule you ever came across. You never received discipline at school, at home, at work, in life. None of that. But a lot of us have. And for a good amount of us, that mistake made us better people going forward. We have to deal with this unprecedented wave of teen violence that the entire country is experiencing head on. We've had too many incidents in Las Vegas just over the last month or so alone. Starting with the teenagers who purposely ran down the former California sheriff riding his bicycle. We had a 17-year-old killed on Halloween in the neighborhood I raised my kids in, a good neighborhood, one of the best neighborhoods to trick-or-treat in as far as community involvement. The people that live there go over the top for that holiday. And we had some teens pull up in the car, jump out, shoot this man, jump back in the car and take off. We just had a teen shoot somebody on a transit bus, get off and run and hop the gate to a daycare, purposely discard the firearm in the grass, only for a 2-year-old to come out shortly after and shoot themselves with it. Last I checked, that 2-year-old was in critical condition. We have to come up with new and innovative ideas that are aimed at tackling these issues at the root and reaching our children at a younger age. We cannot have the same measures in place to deal with this type of situation for this generation as we've had for generations previous. It's a different world. The Vegas I grew up in is a different Vegas than these kids are running around in right now. I had no fear whatsoever of being shot and killed at 17 years old. Yeah, I had a fear of being jumped at 13, but I never had a fear of being jumped to the point that I would lose my life. In my Vegas, a lot more was done for the youth. In my Vegas, the school gates were left open so that the playground at the school could double as a playground for the community. The kids would get out of school, go home, do their homework, get something to eat, and then go right back to school and play with their friends on that playground that they played on earlier in the day until dinner was done. The pools at the middle schools, Von Tobel, J.D. Smith, Brinley, Jim Bridger, they doubled as the community pools. You could go pay $1 and go up in there and backflip off the diving board. Safe and sound, lifeguards and everything. My Vegas had middle school sports and other after school programs and a late bus so that the kids who took the bus to school could stay after and take advantage of those programs. Didn't have to worry about how they was going to get home. A lot of students just stayed after school to kick it, help out their favorite teachers. In a safe environment. My Vegas had the inner city games in the summer, a directive put forth to directly combat the influence of gangs in the inner city. You would pick 2 activities. I picked basketball and something else. I don't even remember because I didn't go to the second one. They come by and pick you up at a bus stop, a designated bus stop for your neighborhood. They take you to this location, which just so happened to be Rancho High School for me. Feed you McDonald's. You spend all day long, just playing this activity with these coaches or teachers and all these other kids from around the district who was also interested in that activity. Got you out your neighborhood, having fun in a safe environment. How is it that we've made all of these advancements in over the last nearly 30 years and we have children growing up in environments with less resources than what we had? We can identify 1,000,001 things that just ain't the same as it used to be. Yet we expect to churn out the same quality of human beings. I just saw a video yesterday of a preschool teacher giving her kids a brain break and recording them singing what I'm guessing is whatever song they wanted to sing. And what I heard was, "Ski ye, Pound Town, going Pound Town." That's not Baby Shark. Do you know what's going to happen 10 or 15 years from now when they make a mistake in life? There's going to be a bunch of adults on the internet who poured absolutely nothing into them, stating how they should have just known better. When I was 4 years old, the songs we knew was the ABCs, the Sesame Street theme song, the Reading Rainbow song, Old MacDonald Had a Farm, and Miss Mary Matt because they had the little hand pads. The cow jumped over the moon and over the river and through the woods to grandmother's house we go. Do y'all see what the problem is here? Look, man, I'm going to end this right now because y'all already know I can go forever with this. But just to be clear, I'm not saying that these teens under 15 don't share culpability and that they shouldn't be held responsible or face the consequences for their actions. I'm saying that their consequences, a 13-year-old's consequences, should never be the same as they are for an adult. I'm not for recertifying them as adults at all whatsoever. My now 15-year-old son made a big mistake at 13 years old. And I'm even more thankful today that he was able to grow from it because he was a good kid then and he's an incredible young man today. And I'm sure the same could be said for some of these teens if given the opportunity. If given the opportunity to learn from their mistakes and show that they're better. It's sad and very unfortunate that that young man lost his life. And for those of you who get a hard on from being able to hold black people accountable, including those of you who are black, who wonder why it's not a hate crime, it's not a hate crime because nothing was done to him because he was white. It was over a vape pen and some headphones, as the authorities have stated. And another, detail that you might need to know is that not all of these kids who jumped this kid was black. I'm sorry, you have to get your arousal a different way.